If you are hearing this message right now, understand that it is no coincidence. Your face is being secretly tracked by a 24/7 surveillance system. The truth will shock you. Every time you walk through a public space, every time you unlock your phone, every time you pass a camera, your identity is being silently tagged, tracked, and stored in massive databases you never consented to. Covert surveillance networks and facial recognition systems, operated by governments, private corporations, and entities you've never heard of, run 24/7. Your face, behavioral patterns, location data, and even subtle expressions are all used to construct your dynamic profile. This isn't science fiction, it's the silent reality of the modern world. Every airport, train station, shopping mall, and even your residential neighborhood may feed your image into systems you never knew existed. If you're ready to claim this information, enter IC in the comments section. At the core of this technology lies real-time biometric surveillance, far more advanced than public awareness suggests. High-resolution cameras combined with artificial intelligence can recognize faces from hundreds of feet away, even if you're wearing a hat, glasses, or a mask. In some cities, these systems form dense networks that track individuals' movements between neighborhoods in real time, trailing them like digital shadows. They not only identify people but also analyze behavioral patterns to gauge emotional states, probability of suspicious activity, and even future actions. All this occurs without your consent, often unbeknownst to you. The data is then sold, shared, or stored indefinitely. Essentially, you are a walking data point. If you're ready to uncover more truths, face reality. Consider your daily path: coffee shop surveillance, traffic lights, supermarket security cameras, those black dome cameras, and office building lobbies. Each is an eye feeding an invisible grid. This grid has no off switch, never sleeps, never forgets. Combined with cell tower positioning, Wi-Fi data, and social media tags, your movements form a complete life map: everywhere you've been, everyone you've met, everything you've bought. Even after deleting apps or deactivating accounts, the physical world keeps tracking your path. Governments use it for surveillance, businesses for marketing, while hidden purposes lurk in the shadows, unacknowledged by anyone. If you've ever felt watched while offline, it's not your imagination. Type shadow to confirm this reality. Silent surveillance isn't new, but its scale is unprecedented. 20 years ago, this level of surveillance was the exclusive domain of intelligence agencies. Today, it's routine practice for major retailers and city governments. Algorithms can match your face against billions of images in under a second, track your gait and vocal patterns, and even recognize your unique movement signatures from grainy camera footage. Footage from friends, strangers, or doorbell cameras can all be cross-referenced with these systems. The result is a dynamic life trajectory controlled by strangers without your consent. Once a profile is established, it can be weaponized to deny opportunities, judge behavior, or flag risks. If you're still listening, this is profiling. But the most startling truth is that data streams don't just record you, they predict you. The corporations and agencies behind these systems aggressively tout their predictive analytics capabilities. By analyzing millions of micro-movements, consumption records, and social interactions, They claim to foresee your next move with uncanny precision, where you'll travel, what you'll buy, even whom you might vote for. In some regions, these predictions have crystallized into social credit scores, a numerical rating determining your access to services, freedom of movement, and very credibility. This is no longer dystopian fiction, but a reality being quietly tested and rolled out. If you choose to continue reading, enter your prediction. You might think, I have nothing to hide, so why should I care? The essence of privacy isn't about concealment, but control. Once others control your data, they control the narrative about you. They define who you are, not you. A single data entry error, a wrong match, or algorithmic bias could permanently label you incorrectly. And because the system operates invisibly, you might never know. What if your job application is rejected because AI flags you as high risk? What if authorities intercept you because your face resembles someone on a surveillance list? The erosion of privacy is the erosion of freedom. If you understand, enter control. Now is the moment to awaken, for surveillance systems no longer belong solely to governments. Corporations are building their own secret information networks, whose power sometimes surpasses official systems. Every time you pass a digital billboard, swipe a loyalty card, or use a free app, you're feeding this machine. Data brokers trade your movements like currency. Combined with facial recognition, they create your digital avatar, containing your habits, preferences, and vulnerabilities. This avatar can be manipulated, guided, and monetized without your knowledge. In other words, you're not just being watched, you're being shaped. If you still agree with this perspective, type digital avatar to proceed to the core argument. Imagine this: somewhere right now, a live camera is capturing your face, not a recording, but a real-time feed visible to strangers at any moment. These images lurk in dark web databases and private servers, some already leaked. Hackers exploit unprotected cameras, unencrypted networks, and misconfigured systems, exposing thousands of live feeds to those in the know. You might be recorded on one of these feeds without ever realizing it. Right now, someone on the other side of the globe could be watching you. This isn't paranoia, it's undeniable reality. To learn more, type live feed. Once you grasp the scale, you'll understand why experts call this the end of anonymity. No matter how cautious you are, no matter how hidden you believe yourself to be, the system will find you. Your facial features, phone, vehicle, and credit cards form triangulation points. They weave an inescapable web. Even if you change your name, relocate, or go offline, the data follows like a shadow. Privacy advocates are sounding the alarm, for the window to reverse this may be closing fast. The infrastructure is already built, waiting only for full activation. Enter anonymity to receive this alert. But knowledge is power, and power begins with awakening. Once you know the truth, you can start protecting yourself, limit data sharing, use anti-tracking tools, support policies regulating surveillance. Awakening shatters illusions and gives you choice. They want you passive, they want you ignorant. But now you are awake. By hearing this message, you are stepping out of the narrative cage they wove for you. Your next move is yours to decide. This system is vast but not unshakable. Change begins with seeing the truth. If you're ready to fight back, type power. You might wonder, if surveillance is so widespread, why isn't it in the news? The answer is complex and chilling. Surveillance is an invisible business that thrives on secrecy, because secrecy breeds profit. The companies building these systems aren't the ones installing street cameras. They're sellers of software, databases, and integrated solutions. They quietly lobby lawmakers, packaging technology as harmless conveniences, face unlock phones, automated toll booths, smart doorbells, under the guise of public safety and innovation. But behind the marketing slogans lies a vast, unregulated industry fueled by your data. When governments purchase these tools, they often sign non-disclosure agreements prohibiting disclosure of system details. In other words, the surveillance machinery remains invisible not only to the public but also to the very institutions meant to oversee it. If you could truly glimpse behind the curtain, type in the word hidden. There's another hidden concern you may not have considered: the cloud never forgets. Every image, every clip, every biometric point ultimately gets stored somewhere, in physical locations you'll never set foot in, on servers managed by third parties you'll never meet. Once data is uploaded, it's nearly impossible to erase completely. You can deactivate social media accounts, but backups persist. You can avoid public cameras, but neighborhood doorbell systems may still capture your image. This means your entire life can be traced and reconstructed. A decade from now, some algorithm you've never heard of could pull up footage of you walking your dog last night. Combined with GPS tracks, spending histories, and AI-driven personality modeling, they possess a time machine to your past. Privacy isn't just about the present, it's about shielding your future self from misjudgment or manipulation, based on permanent records you never consented to. If you grasp the gravity of this, keep it forever in mind. Even more unsettling is the rise of emotion recognition technology. Facial recognition identifies who you are. Emotion recognition attempts to decipher what you feel. High-speed cameras analyze subtle facial shifts you don't even notice. Combined with heart rate monitoring through skin tone changes or even infrared imaging, these systems claim to detect anger, fear, deception, or hidden motives. Governments see them as predictive policing tools. Corporations view them as the future of precision advertising. Imagine walking past a digital billboard whose content shifts in real time based on your mood. Picture being flagged at an airport because an algorithm detected abnormal stress levels. This isn't fiction. Prototype systems are already deployed in global pilot programs. Your deepest emotions are no longer private, they're potential data points. If this revelation stirs your emotions, please input your feelings. The conversation has shifted from mere surveillance to manipulation. When an entity knows your location, behavior, and emotions, it can influence you, coerce or guide. By fine-tuning what you see online, subtly adjusting product pricing, and tailoring information feeds, decisions are steered. Behavioral scientists call this choice architecture. When combined with surveillance, it forms a closed loop: observe, predict, adjust the environment, observe again. Over time, your free will is quietly shaped without your awareness. You may believe you're making independent decisions, yet you're actually part of a laboratory experiment. Your fears and hopes become levers of manipulation, your habits become preset scripts, and your future transforms into a predictable pattern that can be monetized or controlled. This is precisely the root of privacy advocates' concerns. They fear not just cameras, but the loss of autonomy itself. If you're ready to reclaim your autonomy, type autonomy. Pause for a moment. Look around. The devices around you, phones, speakers, TVs, even smart light bulbs, are likely serving as sensors in silence. They aren't just microphones or cameras, they're nodes in a vast network. In 2021, security researchers discovered massive databases of unprotected smart cameras streaming live to the open internet, revealing footage from bedrooms, offices, and nurseries. Hackers didn't break down doors, they simply walked through open ones. The chilling truth is this: you may already be part of a 24/7 surveillance system, not because you're targeted, but because the system is so vast and poorly secured that your life becomes collateral damage. Right now, someone might be peering into your living room through a compromised device, and you're completely unaware. This isn't alarmist rhetoric, it's documented reality. If this sends a chill down your spine, take note immediately. And surveillance extends far beyond cameras. Your smartphone, smartwatch, car navigation system, even your fitness tracker, all continuously collect location and biometric data. They know your heart rate, sleep cycles, travel routes, and social networks. When combined, this data paints a more intimate portrait of your life than anything you'd voluntarily share. Paired with facial recognition technology, it enables unprecedented tracking of both your body and your thoughts. Even if you've never posted online, your devices do it for you, silently reporting your movements to servers and data brokers. This is a surveillance web stretching far beyond human sight. If you're piecing together these clues, type web. Some feel profound despair, but despair is precisely what the system wants. It wants you to feel powerless. But you are not powerless. Awareness is the first weapon, the second is counter-surveillance, the technologies and habits designed to minimize your digital footprint. This means using encrypted communication, turning off location services, covering your camera, or supporting privacy-focused companies and legislation. It also means collective action, communities demanding transparency from local governments, boycotting privacy-invasive services, and pushing for laws that treat biometric data as a human right. While these measures won't eradicate the problem overnight, they reclaim power for individuals. If you're ready to fight back, choose resistance. Another strategy is misdirection. Some privacy advocates attempt to disrupt facial recognition algorithms with adversarial patterns, makeup, clothing, or accessories. Others develop apps that feed false information to data brokers, polluting their databases. The core goal isn't complete invisibility, which is nearly impossible, but undermining the system's accuracy. With enough participants, the system becomes less profitable, less reliable, and more vulnerable to public scrutiny. Think of it as digital camouflage for the age of mass surveillance. This isn't paranoia, it's exercising the same right to self-defense in the digital realm as in the physical world. If interested, search camouflage. But the ultimate solution lies in transparency and accountability. Surveillance itself isn't inherently evil. Cameras can prevent crime, and data can optimize services. The real danger stems from secret operations, coercive methods, and lack of consent. We need laws compelling businesses and governments to disclose what data they collect, how long they store it, and how they use it. We need the right to opt out, correct inaccurate data, and demand deletion. We must recognize that privacy isn't a luxury for those with secrets, it's the bedrock of freedom. Without privacy, democracy becomes a surveillance theater. Under panoptic oversight, choice is merely a performance. Protecting privacy ensures technology serves humanity, not enslaves it. If you believe privacy is a fundamental right, type rights. By reading this far, you've done what most never do: open your eyes. This system thrives on silence and distraction. Scrutiny makes it wither. You needn't smash your phone or retreat to the wilderness. You need only care. Concern breeds questioning. Questioning drives change. When enough people demand transparency, support privacy tools, and refuse to surrender their autonomy, the scales tip. The information flow may be vast, but it rests on our participation. Without our faces, data, and clicks, it crumbles. Truth isn't meant to paralyze you, it's meant to awaken you. Now that you're awake, the next move is yours. If you're ready to reclaim control, type awakening. You might wonder, if this is so widespread, why hasn't the news covered it? The answer is complex and chilling. Surveillance is an invisible business that thrives on secrecy, precisely because secrecy makes it lucrative. The ones deploying street corner cameras aren't the system developers. They're the sellers of software, databases, and integrated systems. They quietly lobby lawmakers, cloaking the truth under the guise of public safety and innovation. Technology is packaged as harmless conveniences: face unlock phones, automated toll booths, smart doorbells. But behind the marketing slogans lies a vast, unregulated industry fueled by your data. When governments procure these tools, they often sign non-disclosure agreements prohibiting disclosure of system details. In other words, this surveillance machine hides not only from you, but from the very institutions meant to oversee it. If you're caught peering behind the curtain, enter the hide command. There's another layer of concern you may not have considered: the cloud never forgets. Every image, every clip, every biometric point ultimately gets stored somewhere, in physical locations you'll never set foot in, on servers managed by third parties you'll never interact with. Once data is uploaded, it's nearly impossible to erase completely. Social accounts can be deleted, but backups endure. Evade public cameras, yet neighborhood doorbell systems may still capture your image. This means your entire life can be traced and reconstructed. A decade from now, some algorithm you've never heard of could pull up footage of you walking your dog last night. Combined with GPS tracks, purchase histories, and AI-driven personality modeling, they already possess a time machine to your past. Privacy isn't just about the present, it's about protecting your future self from misjudgment or manipulation. misjudgment and manipulation based on permanent records created without your consent. If you understand the gravity of this, keep it forever in mind. Even more unsettling is the rise of emotion recognition technology. Facial recognition identifies who you are. Emotion recognition attempts to decipher what you feel. High-speed cameras analyze your unnoticed micro-expressions, those subtle, fleeting shifts in your facial movements. Combined with pulse detection tracking skin tone changes or even infrared imaging, these systems claim to infer whether you're angry, fearful, lying, or harboring ulterior motives. Governments see them as tools for predictive policing. Corporations view them as the future of precision advertising. Imagine walking past a digital billboard whose content shifts in real time based on your emotions. Being flagged at an airport because an algorithm detected abnormal stress levels. This isn't science fiction. Prototype systems are already deployed in pilot projects worldwide. Your deepest emotions are no longer private, they've become potential data points. If this revelation stirs your emotions, type in how you feel. The conversation has shifted from mere surveillance to manipulation. When an entity knows your location, behavior, and mood, it can influence you, not by coercion, but by guidance. The subtle tweaks to your online content, the minute fluctuations in product pricing, the tailored information feeds guiding your decisions. Behavioral scientists call this choice architecture. When combined with surveillance technology, it forms a closed loop. Observe, predict, adjust the environment, observe again. Over time, your free will is reshaped unconsciously. You believe you're making autonomous choices, but you're actually in a laboratory experiment. Your fears and desires become levers of manipulation, your habits evolve into prescripted narratives, and your future transforms into a predictable pattern, one that can be monetized or controlled. This is precisely why privacy advocates fear not just cameras, but the erosion of autonomy itself. If you're ready to reclaim your autonomy, type in autonomy. Pause for a moment. Look around. The devices around you, phones, speakers, TVs, even smart light bulbs, are likely serving as sensors without your knowledge. They aren't just microphones or cameras, they're nodes in a vast network. In 2021, security researchers discovered massive databases of unprotected smart cameras streaming live to the open internet, revealing bedrooms, offices, and nurseries. Intruders didn't break down doors, they simply walked through open ones. The chilling implication is this: you may already be part of a 24/7 surveillance system, not because you're targeted, but because the system is so vast and poorly secured that your life becomes collateral damage. Right now, someone could be peering into your living room through a compromised device, and you'd never know. This isn't alarmist rhetoric, but documented reality. If a chill has run down your spine by now, take note immediately. And surveillance extends far beyond cameras. Your smartphone, smartwatch, car navigation system, even your fitness tracker, all continuously gather location and biometric data. They hold your heart rate, sleep cycles, travel routes, and social networks. When integrated, this data paints a more intimate portrait of your life than anything you'd voluntarily share. Combined with facial recognition technology, it enables unprecedented tracking of both your physical movements and mental state. Even if you've never posted online, your devices do it for you, silently reporting your whereabouts to servers and data brokers. This surveillance web extends far beyond human vision. If you've grasped the full picture, type network. Some feel despair at this, but despair is precisely what the system wants. It wants you to feel powerless, but you are not helpless. Awakening is the first line of defense. The second is counter-surveillance, minimizing your digital footprint through technology and habit. This includes using encrypted communication, disabling location services, covering cameras, or supporting privacy-focused businesses and legislation. Collective action is also possible, communities demanding local government transparency, boycotting privacy-invasive services, and pushing for laws treating biometric data as a human right. While these measures won't yield instant results, they reclaim power for individuals. If you're ready to fight back, type resistance. Another tool is the tactic of deception. Some privacy advocates attempt to confuse facial recognition algorithms with adversarial patterns, makeup, clothing, or accessories. Others develop apps that feed false information to data brokers to pollute their databases. The core idea isn't complete invisibility, which is nearly impossible, but undermining the system's accuracy. When enough people participate, the system becomes less profitable, less reliable, and more vulnerable to public scrutiny. Consider this digital camouflage for the age of mass surveillance. It's not paranoia, but exercising the same right to self-defense in the digital realm as in the physical world. If this interests you, search camouflage. Yet the ultimate solution lies in transparency and accountability. Surveillance itself isn't inherently evil. It can prevent crime, and data can optimize services. The real danger stems from secret operations, coercive methods, and lack of consent. We need laws compelling businesses and governments to disclose what data they collect, how long they store it, and how they use it. We need the right to opt out, correct inaccurate data, and demand deletion. We must recognize, privacy is not a luxury for those with secrets, but the bedrock of freedom. Without privacy, democracy becomes a surveillance theater, a false performance of choice under panoptic surveillance. Only with privacy can technology serve humanity rather than enslave it. If you believe privacy is a fundamental right, type rights. By reading this far, you've done what most never do, opened your eyes. This system thrives on silence and distraction, it withers under scrutiny. You needn't smash your phone or retreat to the mountains, just care. Care breeds questions, questions drive change. When enough people demand transparency, call for privacy tools, and refuse to surrender their agency, the scales tip. The information flow may be vast, but it exists only through our participation. Without our faces, data, and clicks, it crumbles. Truth is not meant to paralyze you, but to awaken you. Now that you are awake, the next step is yours. If you are ready to reclaim control, type awakening. When you reach the end of this journey, remember, knowledge is the ultimate power. Awareness transforms fear into strategy, panic into action, helplessness into agency. The surveillance network is vast, but it is not omnipotent. Every conscious choice you make, limiting data sharing, supporting privacy legislation, educating others, practicing counter-surveillance tactics, weakens its power. This is not paranoia, it is reclaiming sovereignty over your life. You possess the power to actively resist, safeguarding your unique autonomy, creativity, and identity. Acknowledging the reality of constant surveillance, taking tangible protective measures, and participating in collective action, these establish freedoms algorithms cannot erase. You are now awakened, and this awakening is the first and most potent step toward reclaiming control over your life and future. If you are ready to reclaim your power, sovereignty belongs to you. The key lies in understanding, surveillance networks are not passive entities. They not only record but actively shape the world around you. Every interaction, every path taken, every purchase forms a feedback loop. The system observes your behavior, analyzes the data, and then uses this information to influence future decisions, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. Imagine walking into a store where digital screens dynamically adjust content based on predicted demand, or logging into a platform where information is selectively hidden to shape your perspective. Now scale this up to the governmental level. They can monitor protests, political dissent, or social movements, predicting who might organize or speak out. The implications are staggering. Tools meant to serve and protect us can equally erode freedom silently. Understanding the dual nature of these systems is crucial. Recognizing their power is the first step to refusing to be guided, manipulated, or coerced by ignorance. This isn't about fear, but about awareness and choice. If you refuse to be controlled, enter influence. The psychological effects of constant surveillance are profound. Humans are inherently ill-suited to live under perpetual scrutiny. When individuals become aware they are being watched, even intermittently, behavioral conformity naturally emerges, while creativity and spontaneity fade. Over time, self-censorship becomes instinctive, ultimately fostering a society where any deviation from the norm is stifled before it even emerges. Imagine a world where children grow up believing every action is recorded, archived, and judged, where exploration is replaced by calculation, and curiosity shrinks from the fear of being flagged as abnormal. This silent molding permeates not only individual behavior but also erodes community culture. Resistance demands active engagement, creating surveillance-free spaces, cultivating privacy awareness, and encouraging independent thought even as invisible watchtowers blanket daily life. Recognizing this threat paradoxically empowers us, for it offers a lens through which we can both safeguard individual autonomy and defend the future of free societies. If you refuse to be tamed, type observe. At the structural level, surveillance threatens the very foundations of democracy. Understand that data is no longer neutral. Algorithms dictate who sees what, who gets connected, and who gets excluded. Elections, civic engagement, and public discourse may all be subtly manipulated through predictive models, targeted advertising, or social credit systems. When decisions are unconsciously steered, the very essence of free choice becomes precarious. This is precisely why transparency, legislation, and oversight are paramount. Systems initially designed for security or convenience may be repurposed for coercion. Citizens must demand clarity: what data is collected, who has access, how long it is retained, and for what purpose. Without accountability, the consequences extend beyond individuals, threatening our collective capacity for free action, our will to resist unjust authority, and our right to participate in democratic governance. Awakening to these risks transforms bystanders into defenders of civil liberty. Enter democracy and safeguard the right to free choice. Now, let us explore the best possible scenario. Imagine a world where technologies that track and predict your behavior operate transparently, ethically, and by consensus. Public systems monitor environmental risks in real time, optimize emergency responses, and prevent disasters while fully respecting personal privacy. Healthcare systems predict disease outbreaks or detect illnesses early, saving millions of lives. Cities become safer, smarter, and more efficient while safeguarding autonomy. In this vision, tools that could oppress us are re-empowered, provided society demands oversight, accountability, and consent. The difference hinges entirely on human choice, whether technology serves humanity, or humanity serves technology. Understanding this possibility is crucial, for it proves knowledge and action can be transformative, not merely defensive. If you believe technology can serve humanity, empower it. Conversely, the worst-case scenario is a chilling world built on ubiquitous algorithmic control. In this realm, surveillance systems perpetually track billions of faces, biometric signals, and subtle movements. AI algorithms predict behavior with near-perfect precision. Freedom becomes a burden, creativity a risk, and any signal may trigger intervention. Social credit systems, emotional manipulation, and constant steering reshape society into a controllable, predictable machine. Human behavior ceases to be spontaneous, instead becoming modeled, predicted, and manipulated. In this reality, freedom is not overtly stripped away but quietly eroded. Choice is invisibly compressed, compliance arises not from coercion but from instinct itself. This trajectory carries profound psychological, social, and political consequences. Humanity risks becoming a highly predictable, algorithmically optimized mass, sacrificing autonomy in the name of efficiency. If you refuse to surrender freedom, type dystopia. Despite the looming threat, individuals can take tangible steps to reclaim agency: data sharing, encrypted communications, blocking or disabling unnecessary cameras, and actively questioning the necessity of apps and services are foundational practices. Equally vital is building community resilience, supporting legislation, auditing surveillance systems, and holding institutions accountable. Collective action amplifies the impact of individual behavior. Privacy is not merely a personal concern, it is a societal imperative. Every choice you make, no matter how small, creates friction in the machinery. Even deliberately introduced minor disruptions, like injecting randomness into routines, using privacy-first tools, or publicly advocating for data protection, can gradually erode surveillance networks' predictive capabilities. Defending freedom requires not only systemic change but countless deliberate daily choices. If you're ready to safeguard liberty, enter your action command. We must also consider the ethical dimension. Who truly owns your data? Who decides its purpose? Without explicit consent and enforceable regulations, surveillance becomes an instrument of exploitation. Corporations monetize your movements and habits, governments collect biometric and behavioral data, and algorithms make life-altering decisions without accountability. Ethical surveillance requires clarity, explicit consent, transparency, secure storage, and clear usage restrictions. Citizens must demand the right to correct errors, delete personal data, and understand how information is used. Without these safeguards, even well-intentioned practices can become coercive. Recognizing ethical risks transforms passive observation into moral responsibility, compelling us to advocate for systems that respect autonomy rather than exploit it. If you demand accountability, enter ethical. The future of privacy is not predetermined. Society stands at a crossroads. Surveillance technology advances far faster than regulations or societal understanding. Yet this also means the window of opportunity remains open. Through early action, education, personal habits, public advocacy, and technical countermeasures, we can reshape these systems' trajectories. Risk-aware citizens can demand transparency, develop protective tools, and participate in decisions governing surveillance applications. This is not theoretical speculation, but an urgent reality. Only by actively engaging in this transformation can we steer our own destiny and the ethical use of technology. If we remain passive, future generations will be forced to submit to systems they never consented to, their autonomy eroded as society is quietly reshaped by invisible forces. If you're ready to take control, type crossroads. Finally, consider the psychological liberation that comes with awakening. Understand that surveillance isn't meant to instill fear, but to empower. When you understand how data is collected, stored, and analyzed, fear transforms into strategy. This empowers you to make deliberate choices rather than passively follow. Every decision to protect privacy, every action to block data aggregation, every effort to advocate for transparency strengthens your agency. You are no longer merely a data point, but an active participant in shaping your life and society. The systems may be vast, but awareness and action amplify the power of individual and collective choice. Through conscious awakening, deliberate practice, and ethical engagement with technology, we reclaim control. If you're ready to take back the steering wheel of your life, enter liberation. Here and now, you stand awake to a reality most never glimpse. Cameras, artificial intelligence, algorithms, these are not abstract concepts. They are active forces shaping your world, observing, predicting, influencing, yet not invincible. Your awareness, choices, and actions are weapons of resistance. The future of freedom, creativity, and individuality depends not on luck, but on your resolve to refuse passive acceptance. By understanding how systems operate, reclaiming control over your personal data, advocating for ethical oversight, and participating in collective action, you are asserting sovereignty over your own life. The surveillance network may be vast, but it is not absolute. Now that you know, you can no longer look away. You are awake. You are aware. You possess power. The next move is yours. The world watches you, but this time, you are the decision maker in the game. If you choose to reclaim power today, enter sovereignty. At this moment, you surely understand, surveillance is not a distant threat, but an immediate, ubiquitous, and constantly evolving reality. Cameras, sensors, devices, and algorithms observe, analyze, and predict human behavior on an unprecedented scale. Yet this knowledge should not paralyze you with fear. Awakening is your first weapon. When you discern the system's boundaries, you begin carving out safe spaces, whether digital or physical, where your actions, thoughts, and choices remain your own. Every encrypted communication, every blocked tracker, every covered camera lens is an act of independence. These seemingly minor victories against the global machine accumulate power. Vast surveillance networks depend on participation, even passive consent. By refusing silent compliance, by controlling data sharing and movement patterns, you weaken its grip and reclaim mastery over your own destiny. To reclaim your power now, enter independence. The psychological burden of surveillance is heavy, yet it can be reversed through deliberate action. Awakening itself shifts the landscape. When you understand how surveillance shapes behavior, fear transforms into strategy, and paranoia evolves into strength. Every act of resistance, a slightly detoured route, a shifted routine, a move that questions algorithms, a critical examination of tools, creates variables the system struggles to predict. This resistance builds cumulative effects over time. Even minor disruptions to data flows weaken predictive capabilities, reduce manipulability, and reaffirm your autonomy. At its core, every deliberate choice is a counterattack against the invisible panopticon. The key lies in persistence, awareness, and community collaboration. When enough individuals act, even vast surveillance networks can spiral out of control. If you're ready to reclaim your autonomy, choose resistance. Now consider the profound societal impact of unchecked surveillance. In a world dominated by constant monitoring, privacy becomes a relic of the past. Social norms shift imperceptibly, often unnoticed by those affected. Self-censorship becomes rampant, communities grow homogenized, and creativity gradually withers. Behavioral patterns become predictable, not through coercion, but as a result of psychological adaptation. Any minor deviation from expectations may trigger automated responses, shaping interpersonal interactions and limiting spontaneity. Entire groups may be unknowingly algorithmically optimized, their choices and beliefs subtly guided toward compliance. Understanding this is crucial, for it reveals that the threat is not merely technological, but cultural and psychological. Awareness grants the power to resist, by consciously refusing to be molded, by cultivating spaces for privacy, creativity, and independent thought. You not only safeguard your own freedom but sustain the very vitality of society and culture itself. If you guard the freedom of thought, type, culture. Despite the pervasive crisis, the possibility of a brighter future remains. Surveillance technology can be ethically deployed for disaster prevention, medical innovation, urban planning, and public safety. AI can predict natural disasters, track epidemics, and optimize emergency responses, potentially saving millions of lives. With transparency, informed consent, and regulatory safeguards, cameras and sensors can make cities safer, more efficient, and responsive, while avoiding privacy violations. The key lies in human oversight mechanisms. Data must remain under citizen control, not corporations or unchecked governments. By establishing ethical frameworks, implementing rigorous audits, and fostering public participation, tools of oppression can be transformed into instruments of empowerment. Recognizing that the same technology can serve both good and evil underscores the importance of awareness, engagement, and advocacy. It is not technology itself that threatens us, but how we respond to it. If you believe in an ethical future, enter hope. Yet the worst-case scenario remains terrifyingly plausible. Unchecked, surveillance networks could evolve into total predictive systems, anticipating behavior with uncanny precision. Social scoring, behavioral steering, and emotional monitoring would covertly manipulate entire populations, extinguishing dissent before it emerges. Individuality would become a liability, spontaneity or risk-taking would be deemed threats, creativity might evolve into potential danger. Citizen compliance would no longer stem from fear, but from a predictive system that quietly reshapes desires, beliefs, and actions. In such a future, freedom would not be overtly stripped away, but meticulously dissolved, with humanity itself algorithmically optimized. Recognizing this possibility is not to paralyze you, but to inspire action. Awakening can transform fear into the strategic insight needed for resistance, disruption, and demanding ethical governance. If you refuse to surrender humanity, type dystopia. Yet the power of empowerment remains within reach. Simple, conscious actions, encryption, location control, camera management, data minimization, coalesce into meaningful resistance. At the community level, advocating transparency, supporting privacy-first technologies, and demanding legal protections can shift power dynamics. Every conscious act weakens the network's predictive capacity. Even introducing subtle randomness into daily routines, avoiding unnecessary accounts, and deliberately anonymizing online behavior creates resistance. Predictability is the lifeblood of the network. Disrupt it, and you reclaim agency. When millions of awakened individuals act collectively, they possess the potential to fundamentally reshape the system, transforming it from a tool of control into one of empowerment, where privacy, consent, and human autonomy reign supreme. If you're ready for strategic action, enter power. Ethical risks cannot be underestimated. Every image, every biometric point, every behavioral data point belongs to you. The collection, storage, and use of information must be transparent, accountable, and regulated. Unsupervised systems are inherently dangerous. Citizens must demand answers. Who accesses my data? Who decides its use? How long is it retained? How can it be corrected or deleted? Without these safeguards, surveillance becomes covert, normalized erosion of ethics. Ethical awareness isn't abstract theory, it's actionable practice. Every choice to limit data, every step toward transparency, every advocacy effort is a moral declaration of autonomy. You do not relinquish known rights. Understanding this transforms passive observation into active protection of self and society. If you demand control over your data, practice data ethics. Ultimately, the key lies in this: awakening itself holds transformative power. Understanding how the network operates, its strengths and vulnerabilities, empowers you to act with foresight. Fear becomes strategy, panic turns into rational resistance, knowledge becomes leverage. You are no longer a passive subject in predictive systems, but an active participant shaping technological rules, ethics, and consequences. Every encrypted message, every community initiative, every ethical demand weakens machine power and strengthens your sovereignty. Awakening spurs action, the awakened become agents of change. The system's vastness may be daunting, but humanity's capacity for conscious strategic action is equally formidable. Recognizing this is liberating, empowering, and essential to reclaiming the freedom surveillance seeks to erode. If you are ready to reclaim your autonomy, enter aware. Now, envision the world you wish to inhabit. A world where technology serves humanity rather than controlling it. A world where innovation coexists with creativity, spontaneity, and autonomy. A world where surveillance networks are transparent, ethical, and consent-based. Every action you take today, protecting data, advocating for ethical oversight, enlightening peers, lays the foundation for this future. The stakes in this contest are not hypothetical but real, imminent, and cumulatively mounting. Every choice matters. As more individuals take proactive steps, society's resilience against manipulation and control grows stronger. Freedom is not innate, it must be actively defended. Through awakening, action, and ethical engagement, you are shaping a future where surveillance unleashes human potential rather than shackling it. If you are building a free world, type future. Remember this vital truth: surveillance cameras, artificial intelligence, and algorithmic systems are not omnipotent. They can observe, predict, and exert influence, yet they depend on engagement, predictability, and silence. Now you are awake, aware, discerning, no longer passive. You hold the power to disrupt, resist, and reclaim sovereignty. Every choice you make, every action you take, every voice you raise for privacy and accountability weakens the system's shackles. The surveillance network may be vast, but it is not absolute. Your choices matter. Your awakening matters. Your courage matters. You are the true master of your identity, your freedom, and your life. The world is watching, but this time, you set the rules. You are awake. You are powerful. You cannot be controlled. Declare your freedom today by typing sovereignty.